Hello, today's topic is breeding hermit crabs. Alright, so there's been a lot of discussion lately about breeding hermit crabs. And I just wanted to tell you guys the truth about breeding hermit crabs. This is the reason why you don't see people breeding hermit crabs. A very simple reason. Okay, let me just start off. It's going to cost with all your things over $2,000. Unless you happen to be a marine fish expert, like saltwater fish tanks, then it's probably going to cost a lot less. It'll still be pretty expensive. Alright, so this is going to be your tank. It's going to have to be basically 50 gallons, or sometimes you can get away with a 40-gallon breeder. So you want it to be a minimum of 36 inches long. It's going that way. And then you want it to be 18 inches tall. And then you want to make sure it's at least 18 inches wide. Of course, the taller it is, the better, because you're going to want to make sure you can have as much water as you can. So, now you're going to need a glass, like a long glass plate that is 18 inches wide and as tall as you need it to be, to make sure that it's half the height of the tank. So you want to make sure it's 9 inches going up like this. So you're going to need 9 inches of sand, and this is going to have to be 9 inches too. 9 inches of water. So then you're going to glue it in with aquarium glue. So this is what's going to divide the water and the sand, because you really don't want that sand, the water leaking into the sand, because that's just going to create a big soggy mess. So you're going to be needing 2 types of sand, but we'll get to that later. So you're going to want 2/3 of your tank to be water. So, like that. You don't have to have the slope as big. You just want to make sure they can get up it, and you want to make it look very natural. So you're going to want to cover it with sand. Some people, optional choice guys, glue like tiny shells to it. Not tiny shells, but like shells crabs don't use, not like hermit crab shells, like puka shells, clam shells, and you can create like a little place for them to walk up, but still you want to put something natural like sand over it. So this is salt water here, guys. So you're going to basically set up the salt water like a marine tank. You're going to need a heater. You're going to need air pumps to like pump fresh air into the tank. You might want coral because that's going to replicate the salt water pretty well, like their natural habitat. And then you're going to need 2 filters. A normal filter for the size tank you have, like you have to figure out how many gallons this is. The minimum gallons that this area has to be is 15. That's why you need a really large tank, because even if it was half, like if you did 50, like if it was a 50 gallon and you split it down the middle, let's just say you split it down the middle like that. So half of 50 would be 25. And then since you're using half of the space up here, half of 25 would be like, sorry guys, doing the math in my head, like 12 and a half or something like that. And that's not enough. You need a minimum of 15 gallons for your area here. And if you used a 40-gallon, it would only be 10 gallons of water. So you want to make sure that you get a 50-gallon tank minimum. So when your little fry are first born, they're just going to be little itsy-bitsy things. They're going to be tinier than the space in between these little things. And look at this filter, they'd get sucked right up into it. So you want to make a sponge filter. You can Google that, because if I explained that this video, it would be too long. And then as they get bigger, and you can actually see how big they are, and if some of them start getting like shells on, then you can switch to a real filter. You may want to put something over the filter to adjust the flow. It's great to get a filter where you can adjust it, because you don't want it to be very powerful, because that can kill them. And then you're going to want your like heater underneath it. See how I set that up? And then you're going to need your air pumps and stuff in it. And then in this, your substrate, you're going to have marine sand. It has to be marine sand, and you want it to be alive. Not ocean sand, but you can buy it especially for saltwater aquariums. And you're going to want it along here and then along there. If you want, you can make it maybe 2 or 3 inches, maybe 2.5, because you want to make sure they can get under. But then when they're old enough, they'll come molt on land. So they're going to be molting in the water and stuff. And you're going to want to put it in a ton of shells. You can buy, like, tiny little shells for, like, craft purchases. And you're probably going to have to spend, like, so much money trying to find those shells. And you need hundreds of them. And these shells have to be, like, literally the size in between those. And then you need to get the shells going sizes up and up and up and up and up. And you need plenty of them. You need hundreds of them, basically. Because there's going to be, like, 60 babies at first. Probably, like, 14 are going to survive. But you still need to make sure they all get their shells. And you need 3 shells per crab. So you're going to need hundreds, like I was saying. Yeah, and then it's optional to have, like, marine invertebrates in there, like starfish, stuff like that. You just, whatever it is, you want to make sure it won't kill your fish. I mean, your hermit crabs, baby hermit crabs. So you can't have any, like, it's not cichlids. Why am I thinking cichlids? You can't have any fish in it, really. Maybe some marine hermit crabs would be cool, but you really can't have any hermit crabs in there because, fish in there because they would eat your little crabs. And then I suggest coral, plants, and you're going to have a mixture of, like, shells in here of size land hermit crabs, like your breeding pair will have, and then for the babies. And then on land, you want the 5-to-1 ratio. It's 5 parts sand, 1 part eco earth. So you're going to want to get a couple bags of play sand, a couple things of eco earth, and you're going to put in 5 cups of sand, then 1 cup of eco earth, and so on until you have enough. The ratio to that, I'm just telling you guys, is 200 pounds of sand and 1 block of eco earth. That's how much. That's just one ratio. So if you're using 50 pounds of sand, you'd use like a quarter of eco earth. I'm just telling you guys so instead of doing the cup method, you can just mix it all together, but I don't really advise that. And then somewhere in your sand part, you're also going to want a tiny little section. It can be like half a gallon, a quarter of a gallon if you want. Just make sure your crabs can fully submerge fresh water. Because I'm saying glass because if you're using, like, bowls and stuff, your hermit crabs are going to know that they're not in the wild and they're not going to breed. So you want to replicate the wild as best as you can. The bigger the tank, the better, because then you could, like, make 2 sections, a huge section of freshwater and a huge section of saltwater. That would be pretty cool. But you have pretty limited space. So then also on the side, you're going to want to provide some natural hiding places. It can be very difficult, so guys, be really creative. And you're going to want some stuff that they can find basically in their wild. Lots and lots of live plants, guys. I'm telling lots and lots, because they're going to want to climb those. They're going to be eating the leaves, the bark, and you want nothing fake in here. Alright, then you're also going to, because they can't go onto this side, you're going to want some coil wood going up and then all the way across the saltwater. This way they can climb around, and since there's not that much room over here, use suction cups, they're not going to notice it. And then, of course, you're still going to want your hydrometer and thermometer to tell your humidity and heat. And you're going to want a humidifier, because you're not going to be spraying them, because you want to let them be, because you want to let them do their thing. You're just going to be refilling their food, filling their water, stuff like that. If you have a 50-gallon tank, because you're not going to be opening the lid at all, you're going to want to seal any openings. What you're going to do is you're going to probably want to, what's it called? Since if you have a humidifier, the tropic air humidifier, you don't need any openings in your tank. So you can just get a big glass lid, and you can just drill a tiny little hole for that to go in. and then you'll just slip it in, and you're going to probably want a few air pumps maybe on it. Enough for like a 200-gallon tank. If you want to get multiple ones, just make sure it stays at 80-85 humidity, and you're going to want an under tank heater and put it in the back of the tank, and you're going it to be slightly in the water, slightly in the sand, and then mostly above. Get one for like a 60-gallon tank. And then you're going to want because you want to replicate their environment. So for the daytime, you're going to need a lamp, kind of like this, for reptiles, like a hood lamp. And you're going to want it on a timer. And then at nighttime, make sure it turns onto a moonlight. Make sure it's blue to replicate moonlight, because they breed best on like full moons and stuff, and it'll look like a full moon all the time to them. So, and you want to make sure it's really low wattage, because you don't want to overheat them. It can be as low as you want, because it's just for the lighting. If you want, you can get a few of them on top of your tank, or you can get some LED lights as well to put in the tank. But you want to make sure you have your moonlight. And get a big glass plate and drill some holes in it for your like air pump stuff that's going in, cords. Yeah. So that's it, basically. And I forgot to say this, but for your for your food dish, you're going to want to use like a clam shell or something, because it looks natural to them. Give them fresh food and stuff. Yeah. Stuff they might find in the wild. Alright, so you're going to need your tank. You're going to need glass, aquarium glue, marine sand, play sand, eco earth, tiny shells, normal shells, everything you need to set up a saltwater tank. A grow-it tank. You're going to need probably like 100 gallons, because there's going to be a lot of babies, and it's 5 gallons per crab, so you're going to want to get a big tank for all the babies. Koya wood, right there. Suction cups, a hood, air pumps, humidifiers, it's not on here, but heaters, a lot of stuff. Food, you're going to need a lot of food. So yeah, breeding's a lot of work, guys, and it takes a lot of work. If you want to do it, I suggest in summer when you're home every single day, because you're going to need to be checking on them multiple times a day. Also, for feeding the babies, they don't eat normal food that you would feed your hermit crabs, because they're going to be in the water for a few months. So you can't feed them fish food either, because they're too small. Like baby fish baby betta fish, like tiny little things. They eat like brine shrimp and microworms. That's exactly what you're going to feed them, like little tiny shrimps, planktons, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have to set up another tank to breed those things in. And you're going to want to make sure you take care of your brine shrimp and stuff to feed them, and don't overfeed them, because they'll die. So you can look for more information online, or you can leave a comment, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. So I just suggest that you guys do not breed. It takes a lot of work. Yeah.